sanctity of that information, but also have the good judgment to know how to rely upon that information and that expertise.
Yeah, starting today, he gets that presidential daily brief, the most sensitive national security information, the most highly classified information. He'll get it on a daily basis. One final question, Congressman, before I let you go. Who do you think the leader of the Democratic Party is right now?
Well, Nancy Pelosi is our leader in the Congress, and I think she does a fabulous job. I tell you, she is among the toughest and smartest people I've ever worked with, and I'm only sorry that she won't have another tough, smart woman in the White House to work with. But she's been an extraordinary leader for us. This was a tough election at a time when the outsiders really prevailed. And notwithstanding, I think, having a superb and really the most superbly qualified candidate for president in my lifetime, it didn't prove to be enough, at least not in terms of the Electoral College. It was enough with the popular vote. Congressman Adam Schiff of California, thanks very much. Thanks, Wolf. Just ahead, I'll get a Republican view from Congressman Chris Collins of New York. Will he be part of a Trump team? Guess what? I'll ask him when we come back.
It makes an ordinary day feel epic and opens a window of understanding. It can inspire us to find our calling and unite us to experience the world as one. And now, it doesn't just put the world in front of our eyes, but the universe at our fingertips. This is the power of television. This is TV. Samsung.
If you could see a land so heavenly, it almost touches the sky, where the beautiful culture and traditions have stayed the same for centuries. Taste deliciously authentic cuisine from the true East, and meet your new best friend. If you could escape to a timeless, breathtaking haven, go to Guizhou, the hidden beauty of China.
The world is changing, but most business schools are not.
This change calls for a different type of school, a different type of career.
You'll need the instincts of an entrepreneur.
You'll need vision that transcends borders. You'll need to learn from real experience.
And you can't accept the status quo.
This is why we exist.
This is why we're different.
HALT, a new kind of business school.
For the global generation.
For the global generation.
For the global generation.
The heart of our world is you. It's why our commitment to be the best will always be all about you.
Excellence in flight. Korean Air.
in Shanghai, and this is CNN.
The transition of power is underway tonight with Donald Trump's team looking at potential cabinet members, floating names for top spots inside the Trump White House and the Trump administration. Let's get some more. Republican Congressman Chris Collins of New York is joining us. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you. Good to be here.
Thanks very much. You were the first member of the U.S. Congress to support Donald Trump. Do you see yourself potentially as part of a Trump White House team?
I really don't. I've been thinking long and hard about this. I had a long conversation with President-elect Trump today, and I told him I'm really not interested in joining the administration. I'm in a job now on the Energy and Commerce Committee in Congress at a stage in my career. That's where I want to end my career. But I do think there's a role I can play, having assisted Mr. Trump or President-elect Trump for 9 months with my colleagues in Congress, and I actually floated that today with Speaker Ryan as well. So I do think I'm going to have a role to play, but I don't see myself at this late stage of my career, which has been quite varied over 4 decades, going and taking something in the administration. I want to stay right here in Congress and conclude my career as a congressman.
So tell us how that call went. What did you discuss with the president-elect?
Well, he and Ivanka called me. I was quite honored to have gotten that phone call to thank me for everything I've done. We reminisced about the campaign from February 24th when I endorsed him to, some spots where you and others put me really on the hot seat from time to time. He certainly was watching, and we chatted about those things. We also, as I said, talked about what's going on in the administration. He asked me, actually, was I surprised last night? And I said, Mr. Trump, no. If you remember, on February 25th, I drew that exact path of victory, going right through Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan. I may have missed that one, but I went up into Wisconsin. So I said I knew the feelings and the mood of the working class men and women in the Rust Belt that lost their jobs. I knew there'd be massive turnout, irrespective of party loyalty. And so I said, no, I'm not surprised, but I'm also quite happy it's over with. I was a little worried about Florida. So it was just a very nice, comfortable chat, but I did make it clear I want to stay in Congress. I have a role to play on Energy and Commerce, Health Subcommittee, telecommunications and oversight. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what I signed up for 4 years ago. I'm honored now to be doing it for 2 more on the number 1 committee. So I think we've got an opening here where I could be maybe a go-between between Mr. Ryan and Mr. Trump, and I think that's a role that I would do very well at.
Did you get a sense of what role Ivanka might play in the Trump administration?
Well, Ivanka being her dad's daughter has respected her opinions, as you do your family members. I think she's got a special place as the daughter. So I don't think she's going to have an official role or title, but I think she'll always be the family advisor that I'm sure Mr. Trump will appreciate, as well as his sons.
You're a business guy. How do you think, as president of the United States, he actually separates himself from a huge business he's got? Trump, all the Trump businesses, they're enormous right now. How does he separate himself from all that?
It's really not that hard. I have done it with my own private businesses. I have partners that are running those companies. They don't need my day-to-day input. And, it wasn't like Mr. Trump was running one particular hotel. His family's been very involved. And it's really not that hard to step away once you've got all your management team in place. And in his case, family that he knows he can trust is an important thing. So it's much easier than you would think, especially with his family around him, to let the professional managers do the job, just like he's going to look at his cabinet officials to give him advice, whether it's the Secretary of Defense, Treasury Secretary, or et cetera. That's what a CEO does. He gets a lot of balls in the air, and Mr. Trump made the decision he was going to prioritize our country, put America first, and now that he is going to be president, I don't see any bumps in the road there at all.
I wonder if you have any sense on whether Melania Trump, Donald Trump's wife, will actually move to Washington, live in the White House. I asked the question. They have a young son, Barron. She has made a point that her primary responsibility now is raising Barron, making sure he does well, keeping him out of the spotlight. Do you have any idea whether or not they will actually come and live in Washington? She'll uproot him from his school in New York. Do you have any sense of that? We see Barron on the stage last night with Donald Trump and Melania Trump. You see him right there.
Well, I don't have any inside information, but I would just say, what kid wouldn't want to live in the White House? My goodness. They have movies about things like that, and they are a very close family, so I don't have any insight, but I would think Barron would want to live in the White House, frankly.
Do you see? You say you want to be a liaison between Donald Trump and the House Speaker, Paul Ryan. I assume you think Paul Ryan is going to keep his speakership.
Oh, there's no question. We have elections next Tuesday. We'll go through the process on Monday. We were on a conference call today. I think that's a slam dunk. I don't believe there's anyone even running against our leadership team. Heck, we're coming back with 241 members when most of the pundits thought we'd be coming back with 225 or less. Our team has done a marvelous job. Paul Ryan raised incredible sums of money to help our folks withstand a barrage coming from the other side. So he's well respected. I don't even see a challenge to his leadership, and I think we will select him next Tuesday.
The Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, he wouldn't say today if he actually backs Donald Trump's plan to build a border wall with Mexico and have Mexico pay for it. Mitch McConnell said it's always a mistake to misread your mandate. Does Donald Trump have Congress's support for an initiative like that?
Well, he certainly has my support, and if you look back a couple, 3, 4 years ago, Wolf, Congress did pass a law and actually appropriated money to build a wall. It may not have been the exact wall that Mr. Trump's talking about now, but it's a normal thing to have some kind of physical barrier at your border, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think everyone's got to say that was front and center, bringing our jobs back and building that wall. We're front and center in his campaign, and I'd be a little surprised if any Republican at this point, with what we've accomplished, the House, the Senate, and the administration, would stand in the way of pretty much his signature pledge to America that he's going to build a wall. I know I wouldn't stand in the way of that, so I can't speak for Mitch McConnell, but I think most Republicans say, let's go ahead and build the wall.
You honestly believe Mexico will pay for it?
In one way or another, I mean, look at the trade deficit that we have. They are dependent on our economy. So I think we call all the shots there, Wolf. There's no two ways about it. If somehow their goods are not going to flow across our border, that would devastate their entire country, their economy, their way of living. So I think President Trump's holding all the cards to say, if we're going to have some kind of new trade deal, you, Mexico, are going to have to pay for a wall that will keep your citizens in. That's not unreasonable. I don't know what the final details would be, but Mr. Trump wrote the book Art of the Deal. I think one way or the other he'll extract payments from Mexico towards the wall.
Donald Trump has spent many months calling the election system rigged. He's complained. You heard him often talk about that so-called rigged system. Last night, he was elected president of the United States in a free and fair election. Many in that time lost faith in democracy. Some of his supporters, when he kept talking about a rigged election. Was that irresponsible to suggest that the system is rigged? Because he won in a free and fair election. The system clearly is not rigged.
Well, I never thought Mr. Trump was talking about ballot stuffing, although we know there are always some instances of folks voting that shouldn't be, perhaps some illegal immigrants voting. I think he was referring to the liberal press that had such a gross bias against him and thoughts that questions in debates were being leaked or even provided. And what I would say was really Trump bashing by some of the networks, unrelenting. That's what he's meaning. The public was not getting a fair look at the candidates in an unbiased way. There was a media bias there that was disproportionately targeting him, and I believe that's what he was referring to, not ballot stuffing.
But because, yes, he often railed against the news media, the mainstream news media. He was very, very forceful on that. But he also tweeted this. So this was October 17th. I'll put it up on the screen. I'll read it. Of course, there is large-scale voter fraud happening on and before Election Day. Why do Republican leaders deny what is going on? So naive. That's what he said only a few weeks ago, a few weeks before this election. Do you agree that there was yesterday widespread voter fraud?
No, I don't think there was widespread voter fraud, nothing that would have influenced the results of this election. I do think we should be able to do better, especially with ID, to make sure that we absolutely don't have any voter fraud, to make sure the folks that are voting should be voting. No, I don't think there was anything along those lines. There were probably isolated instances here and there, but nothing that would influence the election.
And very quickly, you're from Erie County in western New York, Buffalo, New York, my hometown. How did Trump do there?
Hillary got 50%, Donald Trump got 45%, but in a county that is 2-1 Democrat, it was way closer than Hillary Clinton would have liked. So she may have won by 5 points, but she came in with a 2-1 voter advantage.
All right, Congressman Chris Collins, as usual, thanks so much for joining us.
Okay, good to be with you, Wolf.
Say hello to all my friends in Buffalo. Coming up, we have details of Donald Trump's transition to power. What will it look like? There's more breaking news here in the Situation Room.